Good afternoon, fans. We're back live on thehannibaltv.com today with a review of Dynamite, AEW Dynamite at the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto, Ontario this past Wednesday, March 20th. It was actually the second show that the Hannibal TV covered, the first being Collision in Ottawa this past Saturday. And unlike Ottawa, this was pretty much a capacity house. According to Wrestling Observer, there were 6,278 tickets distributed. The place definitely looked packed. I know some people were talking about shots during the pre-show and before the actual start of Dynamite where the place looked less than full, but it was actually quite full, especially from where I was sitting right by the hard cam. I'm not going to go over every single detail of the show, but I do have quite a bit of photos that I took, and we'll touch on some of the highlights. It was, of course, a double show whereby there was a Dynamite taping and Dynamite broadcast, and then it was going to be followed by Rampage. Unfortunately for me, I couldn't stay and left after Dynamite, which quite a few folks actually did from where I was sitting. But it started off with the intro of the announce team. Of course, Taz and Tony Schiavone were there, and Excalibur. They received a warm welcome from the crowd and started off with some Ring of Honor action, a couple of women's matches, one being with that's the other match there, but one being with not Tony Storm. I keep confusing these. Basic squash matches for Anna Jay and Nyla Rose. They were under, I'd say, 4 minutes apiece. Pretty standard stuff. And then the elusive Evil Uno of the Dark Order made an appearance. He was supposed to be interviewed by us here at the Hannibal TV, and unfortunately canceled about a half an hour before the interview was scheduled to take place or slated to take place. But pretty over with the Toronto crowd having somewhat of the home country advantage anyway. And there was also a six-man tag between featuring Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. Really fast-paced action there. It's amazing to me to see Daniels still be able to go at the level that he does. It was, a lot of spots, et cetera, but enjoyable. I even forget the name of the opposition. I must confess that I wasn't one to stay up on all of the current AEW action, but I'll talk a little bit later about my change of opinion on AEW overall as compared to before when I only saw a few initial matches. Then Tony Khan came out and cut a promo for Toronto, basically putting over Toronto, saying how much he loves Toronto and considers it one of the top cities in the world, and he got a very, very strong ovation. I know I've also read that it seemed that the noise was flat at times on during the broadcast, but being there live, it was very loud at times, and this being one of them. The next feature was a promo by the just signed Mercedes Moné, who did her entrance. And again, whether it was piped in chants or music or whatever, seemed very loud. But the promo itself was not something that I remember very well. Just talking about how her career was almost taken away from her and setting up what appeared to be an angle that escapes me. I think it was over some issue to do with her wrestling in Japan and being injured by Willow Nightingale. Again, if I mispronounce some of the AEW talent names, I apologize, but again, haven't been keeping up to date with all that. Anyway, seemed very popular with the crowd, but we'll see if she's going to pay dividends ultimately in the investment that they put into her. Next was the Okada Eddie Kingston match for the Continental title. And again, I have not seen Okada wrestle all that much, if at all, in recent times. And this match I found to be very, very good. Okada's English may be limited, but he certainly emotes to the crowd and gets the storyline over. Kingston, of course, was serviceable in the match, and he seemed to be quite popular at the end with the crowd, winning the title. Some have said it's too soon, but personally, if you're going to invest the amount of money again that AEW did in this fella, you better have him win a title right off the bat and come across strong, which I thought he did. Interestingly, my camera guy and I were walking around the Coca-Cola Coliseum earlier in the day, and we wanted to get down a pathway, and we couldn't because there was a red sports car there, and they said they're filming something for the show, and I guess that's where Okada came out later. I think it was a Ferrari or something along those lines. Next was Chris Jericho against Hook in a match that went, I'd say, over 5 minutes. I may be wrong again, but Hook, very, very green. You could see it. You could see Jericho pulling him along in the match. There were some definitely interesting spots. A fan on social media corrected me that it wasn't for the FTW title, so I stand corrected there, but he ended up winning the match and appears quite popular with the crowd. Then afterwards, Jericho did an interview backstage where he has a proposition for him on next week's show. So obviously Hook is figured into their plans moving forward, but the kid needs to get some more experience, in my opinion, and definitely some more body mass, because he looks quite thin up close and personal in person. Then the very popular Will Ospreay came out, who's I guess supposed to be a heel, but is definitely a baby face with the crowd. Loud chants for him. He spoke to Shivani and said in not so many words that he was coming for Bryan Danielson, and mentioned that he was a star in Japan, where Danielson always wanted to be but never quite achieved that. So I was impressed with his promo. It was to the point and direct, and he's definitely got some charisma behind him. So one of the first times I saw him cut a promo, so didn't disappoint as far as I'm concerned. Then we got into a tag match featuring Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa, where Thunder Rosa eventually got the pin on Toni Storm. Great character, Toni Storm, the presentation, but again, it was your standard, I guess, women's tag match. I actually, by all confession, went to the bathroom during that one, but yeah, it didn't. It was fine. Next, we had the very popular heel Swerve Strickland, who got quite a good pop with Prince Nana, the friend of my partner on Shooting from the Hip podcast, Angel Medina. They, or rather Swerve, took on the Butcher, and some good action there back and forth. I wouldn't exactly say it was a squash, but Swerve was definitely in control, very over with the crowd. Won the match, started to cut a promo, and out came the AEW champion, one Samoa Joe, who cut a promo on Swerve, basically telling him that you want what I have, and you're going to have to take it very confidently. And then the heel heat of the night in the form of Don Callis. He came out and was massively booed, so he's obviously doing his job correctly, claiming that Swerve would have to beat Takeshita first from the Callis family. And again, massive boos for Don. So I guess you can say he's doing his job. Then it was main event time, and of course the place went banana, as Pat Patterson used to say, over Edge, who had on this very excellent Toronto Maple Leafs gear. Of course, he was exceedingly over and popular for this I Quit match, but got to also talk about the work of Christian Cage, who really did a lot for that TNT title. Extremely smarmy, cocky heel work by him. Some of the highlights of AEW, in my opinion, in the last few years, and they really fought all over the place for this title, including you probably saw a lot of the coverage of them fighting in the stands where Edge put on a Maple Leafs jersey and took a Boston Bruins jersey, put it on Christian, and they had a little good old-fashioned hockey fight in the box. That really popped people. They fought all over the building, up into the backstage area. One particularly humorous area was when Christian ran into the women's washroom, and Edge chased him back out, and they eventually made it back to the ring area. They literally used all manner of weapons, including here you'll see Christian with a hockey stick coming down on Edge pretty significantly there. Edge ended up getting opened up as they fought through the commercial break. They were, as I commented on social media, both guys 50 plus, man, they really went full tilt. I was impressed, highly entertained throughout this match. It didn't seem that there was a break in the action. Some vicious spots before outside interference from the Luchasaurus or Kill Switch or whatever his name is, and Nick Wayne. They came in to attack Edge, and then some of the baby faces came out, including Daniel Garcia. They eventually subdued the two of them, handcuffed to the ring post, the heels. Then Edge, of course, did some excellent high spots involving the ladder. And once Christian was secured, handcuffed to the ring post, Edge brought out I think I missed a slide here. Anyway, Edge brought out the spiked item that he had, the weapon that he had, I forget the name of it, and hit Christian once with it, and then was going to hit him again, and eventually quit, and thus became the new TNT champion. Great celebration there. There's that weapon. I've already forgotten the name, but inspired by hardcore matches and icons of the past, and took the title with a thunderous ovation, big confetti deal, and the crowd went home happy, to say the least. Overall, I would say the card, I thoroughly enjoyed it from top to bottom. There were some spots that didn't necessarily appeal to me, but I would give it an 8 out of 10, and have become a bit of an AEW fan as a result of attending the shows in Ottawa and Toronto. AEW themselves were very professional, providing media access to both events. There's a chance that the Hannibal TV may cover future shows on this tour, but we'll see. They at least, in my estimation anyway, attempt to put on a more old school product, in so much as there are promos, yes, but the focus is on in-ring work, and that appeals to me because, as you know, watching Raw, there's 20, 30-minute soliloquies and whatnot that put me to sleep. But again, they're making a whole whack of money, so who am I to criticize that? But yes, I want to thank AEW and their media team for having us for both those shows. And yeah, really, really enjoyed this one. I'll be interested to see what happens moving forward with Edge and Adam Copeland and the TNT title. But certainly they have a roster that, if the pieces can be put together properly, they have all the ingredients to be massively successful. So anytime there's a company that employs wrestling people and wrestlers, and they have a chance to make a living, a good living, that's great from where I sit. So that's it for my very fast review of AEW Dynamite in Toronto. If you haven't already, subscribe to thehannibaltv.com. Hit the notification buttons. We're working on some big interviews coming up, including the one I'm going to do that I'm very excited about, and that would be WWE and TNA and ECW original. David Kid Cash will be sitting down to do a career interview with myself. And this coming weekend, Jake Walker's going to join me to review WWE 2K24. Apparently, there's a lot to say about that game. That'll be taking place Sunday. But again, subscribe to the Hannibal TV and you won't miss any of the content. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video, then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss